Have you ever heard of North Korea banning to seemingly harmless things like Chocopie and Coca-Cola? These are things you can easily buy at a convenience store or supermarket. Very familiar to us. But why does North Korea ban them? Not only that, there have been incidents where Chocopie was dropped from South Korea to North Korea using balloons, much like stories in movies. And perhaps only animated films would create such scenes. But in North Korea, it's a complete reality. First, let's talk about Chocopie. If you don't know, Chocopie is a very famous snack in South Korea, produced by the Orion Company. The Chocopie commercials from my childhood left a lasting impression on many Vietnamese people, especially children who were eager to try Chocopie at least once to see how delicious it was. It has 2 soft sponge cake layers with marshmallow filling in between, and is coated with a layer of sweet chocolate. In Vietnam, Chocopie is a national snack because everyone has eaten it and loved it. But in North Korea, this snack is not just food. It is a danger. The story begins at the Kaesong Industrial Complex, which was special because it was located near the border of South Korea and North Korea, and allowed South Korean businesses to operate there. It has since closed down. But this was where the 2 countries cooperated economically starting in 2004. South Korean companies opened factories there, and they hired North Korean workers. These workers were paid, and on top of that, they received bonuses. And here is where Chocopie enters the story. South Korean companies often rewarded their workers with Chocopie instead of cash, because bonuses were considered too capitalist. A worker could receive dozens of Chocopies if they worked hard or did overtime. Returning to life in North Korea at that time, this was a country where delicious or sweet food was a rarity. So, these Chocopies were precious. Much like the subsidy system in our own country, North Korean workers didn't just eat them, but also took them home to their families and friends. Children showed off their Chocopies to friends, treating them like treasures. Some even sold them at black markets for very high prices. I've heard they were sold for a few dollars each after the Kaesong Industrial Complex closed. And that was an astronomically high price in North Korea, while the cake itself is quite ordinary. Why did this become an issue? North Korean authorities started to get worried. They saw that Chocopie was not just a snack, but also a symbol of South Korean lifestyle, which represents freedom, prosperity, and colorfulness. Chocopie could become a tool to change the mindset of North Koreans. It made people realize that South Korea was not as poor as the North Korean government had claimed. So, from 2014 onwards, North Korea banned Chocopie in the Kaesong Industrial Complex. South Korean companies were ordered to stop distributing the cakes and were told to replace them with traditional rice cakes. North Korea even tried to make a knockoff version of Chocopie, but failed because people didn't like the taste of the local version compared to the original South Korean Chocopie. But despite the ban, Chocopie still managed to sneak into North Korea through black markets, with people smuggling them. There are even rumors that some North Korean officers defected just to get some Chocopies. This shows how powerful the appeal of a small cake can be. Now, let's talk about beverages. While Chocopie is food, Coca-Cola is the drink. Many people have likely tried Coca-Cola at least once in their lives. In Vietnam, Coca-Cola is nothing special, but in North Korea, it is. Not only is Coca-Cola banned, but it is also seen as a symbol of capitalism. But why would a can of soda, something so ordinary, become the enemy of an entire country? First, we need to understand that North Korea is one of the most isolated countries in the world. They tightly control everything: information, culture, food, and even drinks. Coca-Cola, with its famous logo and global presence, represents the United States, which is considered the #1 enemy of North Korea. The government is concerned that if the people drink Coca-Cola, they will be influenced by Western culture and start yearning for freedom and modernity. But it's not just for political reasons. North Korea also has a self-reliant economic policy, meaning they prioritize producing and consuming local goods, limiting imports from capitalist countries like the US and us. We can see that both Chocopie and Coca-Cola are banned for the same reason. They represent the outside world, a world the North Korean government doesn't want its people to know, specifically the capitalist world. But ironically, these bans have made these foods and drinks even more alluring, leading them to become sought-after black market items and symbols of yearning for the people of North Korea. Now, here's an intriguing story, a very specific example of balloons flying towards North Korea. These were no ordinary balloons. They were filled with Chocopies from South Korea. In 2014, when the Kaesong Industrial Complex closed and the supply of Chocopies in North Korea ran out, the price of Chocopies on the black market soared. North Koreans, especially children, missed the sweet taste of Chocopies so much that they were obsessed with it. Seeing an opportunity, a group of South Korean activists led by Ka Suni came up with a bold idea: to release giant balloons carrying Chocopies across the border. They organized an event at a park near the Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, one of the most tense places on Earth. Over 50 giant balloons were deployed, carrying about 10,000 Chocopies along with more than 300 kilograms of candies. Each balloon also carried leaflets and USB drives. The USB drives contained South Korean films and messages of freedom. The simple idea was to let the balloons fly across the border, land in North Korea, and for the people to find the snacks to eat, USBs to watch, movies, and leaflets to read. The scene could be like this. One morning in North Korea, as people are working in the fields, they see these sparkling balloons falling from the sky. They open them and find the long-sought Chocopies, South Korean films depicting a very foreign world, and messages about a different world. To many, these weren't just snacks, but extremely unfamiliar stories. But of course, the North Korean government wasn't happy. They called the South Korean activists saboteurs and threatened to. There was even an incident where North Korea fired machine guns at the balloons. Another interesting story related to Chocopie is the case of Oh Chung-song, a North Korean soldier who defected to South Korea in 2017. He was shot 5 times while crossing the DMZ but survived. After recovering, the Orion Company quickly reached out to him with a promotional gesture. They offered him free Chocopies for life. They said this was a gift to welcome him to the free world. So, the story of Chocopie and Coca-Cola is not just about food and drinks. It's about small things. A cake, a can of soda, that can become symbols of hope, change, and even things that are banned in North Korea. Chocopie and Coca-Cola are banned, not just because they are products of capitalism, but because they represent a world that the North Korean government doesn't want its people to know about. But ironically, the very bans make them more attractive, with people secretly smuggling them and paying high prices to get them. Some even risk their lives just for a taste of something different. This story is truly fascinating, isn't it? From Chocopies flying across the border to banned cans of Coca-Cola, North Korea is indeed a place full of mystery. What do you think about this story? Leave a comment below. Oh, how many Chocopies have you eaten at once? Or would you want to? Try releasing a balloon filled with candy. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on other interesting stories.